A lot of concern right now amongst Cubs fans, and I read your messages every day about this Kyle Tucker trade after seeing Cam Smith in action. And what are the Cubs' chances of making the postseason? Should we be concerned that they have been playing less than 500 baseball over the last few series? We're going to talk about that today on the Cubs Baseball channel. Thanks for being here, guys. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. And let's get this thing started. Off day yesterday, recovery. Now it's time to get back into action and roll to the All-Star break. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball channel. We talk the Cubs here on a daily basis, and it's great to see all you guys and hang out like we try to do every single day. All right, let's get this thing started right here. A lot of you guys, and I read the comments talking about the Kyle Tucker deal, right? You got Kyle Tucker. I think all of us agree he's a great player. You gave up Cam Smith, Isaac Paredes, Hayden Wesneski. Wesneski was in the rotation for the Astros, got hurt. He's out for the year. Isaac Paredes is playing for the Astros, and honestly, he's kind of hanging in there. They lost Alex Bregman, and they got Isaac Paredes from the Cubs. That hasn't really slowed him down. And then Cam Smith is their new right fielder, replacing Kyle Tucker, who the Cubs have, and he's doing pretty good. I mean, he hit 2 home runs against the Cubs. The guy's fresh out of being drafted in the first round by the Cubs, and he's already becoming one of the cornerstone pieces of this Astros team. He's still got a ways to go before I would call him a star, but I'll tell you what, the guy can play, and they saw something. They made the deal, and, he's obviously a lot better than we thought he was going to be, because nobody thought he was going to be contributing to the big leagues this year, and that's what he's doing, right? So that leads us to Kyle Tucker. Cubs got Kyle Tucker knowing that he was a one-year guy, that they were going to have to make sure that they signed him at the end of the season if they wanted him, or they gave up a lot for him. I've talked about it over and over on this channel. It's not just the deal that they made. They also gave Cody Bellinger to the Yankees plus $5 million. Got nothing back, plus the players they traded for Paredes at the deadline last year. You throw all that together, and they got Kyle Tucker. Tucker might get $500 million. And he's hinted that, hey, he'd love to come back, called the Cubs a great organization and all that stuff. But there's no real indicator of where he's going to end up, whether that be the Cubs or that be somewhere else. And he's going to be a highly sought-after free agent. The Cubs would love to extend him, I think. But you guys are saying, hey, after seeing Cam Smith, wow, okay, could this be one of those deals that we look back on and go, that was a mistake? I think we all agree that if the Cubs sign Tucker and he continues to play like Tucker, then I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed in that trade. But if the Cubs let him walk, this could be one of the worst deals the Cubs ever made. I don't think that's unfair to say as we kind of get towards the All-Star break with a Cubs team that's 2 games up. I think I'm echoing a lot of your sentiments. And some of you guys don't think that the Cubs ownership is going to want to spend the money. Read those comments too. We'll find out. And I'm going to talk about Owen Caissie on the show, and I've told you guys my opinion is if you don't sign Tucker and you trade Owen Caissie, fire the whole staff. Get rid of all of them. Because you got to have somebody to play right field. And we don't think that Seiya Suzuki's an everyday right fielder. We don't think he's good enough defensively. We like him at DH. So we'll get into that. Plus, he's not signed long-term anymore. Now, the Cubs have a tightening NL Central race, right? And, when you look at the standings right now, 49-35 is good enough for first place. They're 2 games up on Milwaukee, who's been on a heater here lately. And they're 2.5 games up on the Cardinals. And they're 5 games up on the Reds. The Pirates are the only team in the division with a losing record. And this is a good division. It's turned out to be a lot better than some people thought. I never thought that it was going to be a bad division. Just knowing the prospects that the Pirates and the Reds have, and then the Cardinals have surprised me some, and Milwaukee surprised me some. But at the same time, I don't think the Brewers are going to continue to keep winning at an 8-2 clip over the last 10 games. What are they, like 16-9 in the month? I just don't think that's going to last. And I don't think the Cubs are going to be 4-6 in their last 10. I think the Cubs will start to get things figured out. Shota Imanaga's returning. They're going to make a trade for a starting pitcher. Some of you guys are going, if that's Mitch Keller, that's just they're getting another Jameson Taillon. I don't know. Taillon's been pretty good. Then he's had a couple of bad outings, and his, seasons with the Cubs have been definitely up and down. But, I'm guessing they're trying to get Colin Ray out of the rotation and make the starting five a lot better and more competitive. So we'll see how that turns out. Because right now at this recording spot, we haven't done that yet. But it's definitely something to talk about. And if you guys didn't see the video, Bob Nightengale Sunday said the Cubs are in serious trade talks about Mitch Keller. Eric Bernard's another guy that they've talked about. Would they make a deal and get both guys? What are you giving up to get it? So that's the question to me. Now, this is kind of along the same lines. Owen Caissie and Jackson Wiggins, part of this year's futures game. And the futures game is where you take top prospects and they all play part of the All-Star game and the All-Star festivities, right? So they'll be part of the National League's roster. I remember when Owen Caissie kind of was brushed over in this game a few years ago. Pete Crow Armstrong got it, and he didn't. And I was surprised. I thought, why isn't this guy getting more love, more recognition? But he's getting it now. I think people are seeing what he's all about now, right? Jackson Wiggins is coming into his own. Caissie's hitting .263, 12 home runs, 65 games this year. And I think he is going to come out of a shell. I think he's going to end up with a huge season. And I think he's going to end up having a really good career when it's all said and done. And he's been more consistent throughout his career than flashy. But when you look at the consistency, it's been really good. And then Jackson Wiggins is the guy that I keep thinking the Cubs are going to trade. 23-year-old, 2.09 ERA, 13 outings, 12 starts, 74 strikeouts in 60 innings. So they'll play that game on July 12th. And those two guys will be a featured part of the futures game. And they could possibly get traded. So I think if the Cubs go out and get pitching, then the team that they trade with is going to want pitching in return. And Wiggins is a guy that I think they would give up. I think Owen Caissie's a little more difficult because, like I said before, if it's my team, if I'm Tom Ricketts, and these guys make another one of these Cam Smith trades, I'm not happy. Because you draft and you develop players, it's financially better than going out and signing free agents. You don't pay as much. It's more fiscally responsible. And you got to know the players that you have, and you got to know what you're giving up. They didn't trade that guy thinking he's going to be in the big leagues hitting home runs against the Cubs this season. And that's what happened. So, okay, now what? Well, you just got to win. And if you win, people forget about that stuff. And you got to give up something to get something. I think that's part of it too. You're not trying to fleece the teams that you trade with. But like I said, you give up too many of your young prospects, that means you're paying. And I don't even know if it's being cheap. I think it's just being responsible. That's what the draft's for. You want to mix those guys in and then use free agency and trades to kind of fill areas where you get players and pieces that you don't have. and the Cubs had a backlog of outfielders, but they didn't have a superstar. And now they have one. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging. Cubs play tonight. We start the month of July, and we got the All-Star break in the middle of it, but Cleveland and then St. Louis on a homestand that I think is really important for the Cubs. Then they go on the road to Minnesota and finish up against the Yankees before the All-Star break in New York. So some pretty fun games left. I mean, rematch of the 2016 World Series. We all hate the Cardinals. And then at Minnesota, which has always been kind of one of those teams, being in Chicago, it's not a far trip, but a team that you didn't play when there wasn't interleague play. And then Cubs and Yankees, I mean, let's check out how much the tickets are for that. It's going to be pretty pricey. Hey, thanks for hanging, guys. If something breaks, we'll be here. We're keeping an eye out for that. Are the Cubs going to make a deal for a starting pitcher? I think so. And we'll see when that happens. I think all of that stuff is dead ahead. But thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, comment section. Go Cubs.